So FanFest is behind us, and the Panthers have their first preseason game coming up next Sunday, the 15th, going against the Indianapolis Colts. So technically, it's a game week. I mean, I'm getting kind of excited. I'm going to take it for what it is because the Panthers are going to take on the Colts, like I said, in Indianapolis, and they also get joint practices this week. So today's practice was the first one as we prepare for things going on there. So it's a little bit different of a practice today, and there's a couple things to note that we need to talk about today that I'm going to get into on this video. We're starting right now.
Yo, man, let's get it popping, man. Another day to be blessed to be out here, man. Hey, let's get it, man. Squad on 3, 1, 2, 3.
What's going on, everybody? It's Aaron Duncan here, back again with the Panthers video brought to you by Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk. I start off every video by saying, what up, dude? And then here on Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk, I give a recap and analysis of the Carolina Panthers and the NFL. But like I said, I show a little extra love to those cardiac cats. So if you want to stay up to date on all the news and breakdowns and everything that's going on lately with this team, because we guys know stuff changes by the minute. It's been a crazy offseason. It's going to be a crazy season coming up. So if you want to stay up to date and get all the analysis and live streams and podcasts that I do, you got to hit the subscribe button below and the bell icon. That way you get a notification every time I drop a video, because I'm dropping stuff like pretty much every day, every other day. There's a lot of stuff that's going on rapid fire. I drop polls and stuff on my community tab on the timeline. So you got to make sure you're paying attention to that and keep the bell icon on. That way you don't miss anything, because you want to stay up to date on all this stuff that's going on. It's going to be an exciting year. But also, one more thing. Give the video a thumbs up, please, if you don't mind, because it doesn't really cost you a thing. It only takes a second, and it really helps me out in the algorithm with the engagement, letting YouTube knows that you like the video. And there's somebody else that's a Panthers fan may like the video also. So appreciate you doing that. So I do these Panthers training camp updates pretty frequently. So if you want to stay up to date, I'll link the playlist down there in the description or somewhere up in the YouTube card. That way you can keep up and catch up on everything too, especially if you're a new subscriber. But today's practice, like I start up every other video, I got to talk about the injuries, because literally injuries are the thing that can make or break your season. And today the Panthers had 12 players that did not participate in practice, whether it was from injuries or just a vet day that Matt Rhule gave to some of the older guys and older players to give them time off, or personal reasons for different things. So we had a ton of linemen out. We know Matt Paradise left practice yesterday on Sunday with some, I think, back issues. But Dennis Daly was out for personal reasons. Cam Irving, our left tackle, had a banged up shoulder, so he missed practice too. And of course, I already talked about the issues that I have with our linebacking core and the defense, and I'll link that up top too. You'll catch that in one of the videos also, where I talked about should we panic about that. So I'm getting a little bit nervous about these injuries, man, just because, like I said, it doesn't matter how much talent we have. If we don't have players that are healthy and they're getting practice together to get better together, it's going to really set us back. And especially with the season still being, 3 to 4 weeks away, we need to make sure we're good and ready for week 1 when the Jets come to town to play us then. So I'm really concerned about that offensive line and the linebacking core. But for the offensive line to have people coming out, it gave us a chance to get a different look at people. And one of those different looks, yes, guys, it's officially going to be a thing probably. Taylor Moton got an extensive time to serve as the left tackle. Now, we know we signed him to the big boy deal at right tackle, and I've talked about how I felt about that, how he should have got paid left tackle money, and if they were going to keep playing him at left tackle, but he got paid right tackle money. Nevertheless, not going to complain about that. Now he got the bag, so he gets some work at left tackle. Now, will he be the long-term answer at left tackle? I think they're still trying to figure it out. Obviously, Greg Little, Cam Irving, Trent Scott are going to battle it out for that left tackle position, but Matt Rhule said today he had some words about the group as a whole and the versatility, because we had to play guys today like Moton. Pat Elfing had to play some center. You know what I'm saying? Deontay Brown had to play some guard, obviously, too. And like I said, Trent Scott switched from both sides. So let's look at what Matt Rhule had to say about how this O-line group had to shuffle around and how he feels about people.
I think we've had a lot of confidence in Dennis Daly and Trent Scott's swings, so I'd have to watch this film. This will be a good film because it wasn't a ton of reps, but it was live. It was the first time we've seen him really in pads playing left tackle, so I'd have to see the tape before I could say that, to be quite honest.
Is Dennis not being out here today part of why Taylor got so many? Is that at all play a factor?
No, Dennis had a family matter that we excused him for. Had Dennis been out there, we might have done something a little bit different, but T-Mo's from repping both sides was a chance to get him out here.
Is there a spot you like Dennis best?
We like him at the guards. We think he's a really powerful, uniquely powerful guard with really good athleticism. So.
Robby back?
Yeah.
And as you can see, Matt Rhule doesn't really seem to panic, because they feel like they have some good guys like Dennis Daly who can play pretty much all 4 positions. He's one of those situations where he's not a master of none, but he's he's good at a few, something like that. But they feel good at Dennis Daly being a guard, which I do too. You know what I'm saying? That's his natural position that he played in college, but he can fill in at certain positions when necessary. Trent Scott can also swing from left to right, and I think they're trying to do the same thing with Taylor Moton. Just in case anything happens, do they feel like Taylor Moton would be a better left tackle than Trent Scott, and they can just put Trent Scott at right tackle? Maybe so, because I think Trent Scott does have a background playing right tackle. They've just been playing him more at left tackle to compete for that position. So may the best man win, I guess. But it's all about continuity when it comes to the offensive line, and continuity means everybody being healthy. That's the bottom line for that. So that'll be something to pay attention to, because you don't want to keep shuffling these guys. You want to have somebody in front of Sam Darnold that he can trust. That way he doesn't get happy feet. What gets him in trouble is he doesn't get confident in the protection, and he doesn't plant his feet. His fundamentals aren't as sound because he doesn't trust the guys can do their job in front of him, and he may throw off his back foot. He may make some bad decisions. The mechanics may get sloppy. He may force some things. So we don't want that. We want to be able to keep Sam Darnold clean. I think a lot of people feel good about a lineup that has maybe Trent Scott at left tackle, Pat Elflein at left guard, Matt Paradise when healthy at center, of course, and then maybe John Miller. He's been getting a lot of the first team reps, but I think a lot of people want to see Big Deontay Brown out of Alabama get that started at right guard, along with our mainstay Taylor Moton at right tackle. I think the common consensus on Twitter is that that's what the people want to see. So we'll continue to monitor what goes on in this combination, especially as we get to head up to Indianapolis and go against somebody else that's in a different color jersey than us. We'll see what kind of lineup is rolled out initially. But my last thought on the offensive line competition is we haven't really heard a ton about Greg Little. You know, the former, second round pick by Marty Herney, the guy that they said had a first round grade, the guy that has really been a disappointment for all of us Panthers fans, you know, but not hearing much can be a good thing. You know what I'm saying? It can be a bad thing also, because we didn't hear much about David Moore, the undrafted free agent out of Grambling State, who we thought could play center and guard. They could be the heir apparent to Matt Paradise at center. We didn't hear much about him, and boom, he was cut. So, I mean, Greg Little, I think they really want to give him every opportunity to be great. So sometimes if you don't hear something about offensive linemen, it can be a good thing. That's because they're not getting whooped, they're not holding, they're not hurt. So he may not be doing super good, but that's an upgrade from what we've seen from Greg Little, because Greg Little has been a liability in the extended time that he's gotten to play left tackle. Now, will he get moved to guard eventually? I don't know what they're going to do. We have a ton of guards. We have a ton of them. But Greg Little, maybe no news is good news. We'll see what happens going forward. It will be something to monitor as we get ready to go to Indianapolis, because we know that left tackle position is going to be probably the most important battle on this offense when it comes to position groups. So between the three of Little, Irving, and Trent Scott, may the best man win, and may the best man stay healthy, and may the best man keep blind side of Sam Darnold clean. Please. Today's practice was a little bit different. It was only an hour and a half. First of all, they bumped the practice back. And I think that's because Matt Rhule talked about how the grass is always wet in the morning, and they don't want to keep playing with the dew that's on the grass because it's been a weird scenario. And there's been some groin tweaks ever so often and some soft tissue injuries that may have to do with the slick surface. You know, they play on turf now that we have BOA covered in turf. So it'll be a different environment there, but we don't have the luxury of being able to go inside and outside like we do when we're up at the practice facility now that we have the bubble. So being able to be on grass, it's always going to be slick if they're practicing at 8:30 every morning, you know what I'm saying? Because you got that sweet morning southern dew on that grass, and it can be a little slick, you know what I'm saying? It can be a little slick. Your right foot may go right, and then the rest of your body go left. Boom, that's how you tweak a groin, or that's how you tweak a hamstring. And like I said, there's been a lot of soft tissue injuries between like Denzel and Shaq and people like that just tweaking anything. So we have to be careful. And I think that's something that goes into that whole analytics thing and just looking at all the little stuff that Matt Rhule does with his team and coaching staff. But it's a little thing to monitor, and I guess it's cool to be paying attention to those type of details, but there's something to monitor. But today's practice is only an hour and a half. Only an hour and a half. And I think it's just because the numbers have been getting so thin at certain positions. Inside linebacker, Clay Johnson and Patty Fisher, they've been getting a ton of reps because they probably play special teams too, according to Matt Rhule. So they've been getting some time off to kind of recover because they've been getting a lot of reps, and they want to have these guys good and ready for when they get a chance to actually show what they can do against a different opponent like Indianapolis. So an hour and a half practice seems very different, especially when the NFL has really rolled back the amount of practices and the intensity of practices you can do. So that's something really to monitor. Like I said, Matt Rhule will probably never admit it, but he has to have some concerns about injury if you're going to cut down practice from the 2 hours allotted to an hour and a half, and that's including warm-ups. So that's another thing to monitor, because we'll see if they keep doing that going forward. But they will keep doing these later practices, not much later, but an hour and a half, 2 hours later, just to get some of that dew off the grass. So that's something else you can keep an eye on, guys. But just a little quick nugget to throw in, because Robby Anderson was missing practice the day before because of a personal family matter. He did go down to Florida, but it's beautiful to see that him and Sam Darnold still have that flame, that kindling flame, the renewed flame, as they had a sweet highlight today in practice. Just take a look at it. I got the clip right here. A beautiful one-handed catch by Robby Anderson. Tips it to himself, strolls in the end zone. Robby actually made a comment today that he plans to probably not use gloves in the game. That's unheard of. He said that because it's so sweaty and hot outside that he can't really get a grip because the gloves feel like they slip on the inside for him, and he doesn't always get a chance to squeeze the ball. But being able to catch with his hands gets a better feel for it. And I understand that, because some guys have big enough hands to be able to do that. Some guys don't have big enough hands to be able to do that. Some quarterbacks throw so hard it hurts your hands to you might take some skin off if you don't have gloves on. But at the same time, there's a thing that also is bothering me. Robby has to wear gloves for aesthetic purposes. Like, is he really going to go out there naked with no wristbands, no nothing, no gloves? Who does he think he is, Wayne Corbett? Like I know he used to play for the Jets, but come on, man. You got to wear gloves just to be swagged out. You know what I'm saying? Just for the swag purposes. That's just my take. You know what I'm saying? But who am I? I'm no NFL receiver. I played a little football in my day, but I got small hands. I had to wear gloves, so that's neither here nor there. And last but not least, we have one constant and one thing buzzing from this camp is the improvement of Sam Darnold, in particular, the red zone decision making. And the reason why is because he has a huge target in Dan Arnold, one of the free agent pickups we picked up from the Arizona Cardinals, the former Saint, also that has a background with Joe Brady. But the biggest thing is Dan Arnold is 6'5". He can run. He has a big catch radius, and he's been a great addition. And Sam Darnold and Dan Arnold, say that 5 times fast, have been starting to develop that relationship, and all play-by-play commentators are beating their head against the wall because they're going to have to say Darnold to Arnold a bunch of times this year. Matt Rhule actually alluded to how good it is to have a big target and what kind of body type from a tight end he's looking for. So hopefully this means that there'll be more production for the position. Let's check out what Matt Rhule had to say.
Yeah, I mean, Joe had some experience with him in New Orleans. He'd been there. But B, we got ready to play the Cardinals last year, and in game planning the Cardinals, I really liked him. And so when it got to free agency, he was someone that we targeted, potentially that we could get. We were able to get him. And I personally believe when you study young quarterbacks, they all kind of have a go-to receiver that they whenever they get in trouble, they just know to go to that person. And typically a lot of these guys, they like big players, hey, I'm in trouble, I'm just going to find Kelsey. I'm just going to find one of those guys. And so to me, I wanted us to get someone that was in that 6'5" range that you could see across the middle of the field and third down and red zone. Kind of the thought process, let's go find a big receiving tight end. And after having played the Cardinals, I knew what he could do and had a lot of respect for him. So, we targeted him and got him. And he's definitely he's definitely the brand of guy we want.
And as you can see, he said that he scouted him from prior games. And that's good work right there, because you see how much of an asset he can be, especially when you don't have anybody that you had last year that you could count on. So that's a good thing to have. But I also want to listen to what Dan Arnold says about how him and Sam Darnold have been building up this chemistry that I'm talking about, and why it has been so effective so early and how much better it can be.
I think being at Wofford definitely helps with that chemistry, spending a lot of time after hours just kind of hanging out, getting to know each other. But then also just spending time on the field, working on certain routes, things that we want, talking after, getting good routes on air is the big one for us right now, is just talking through, okay, where do you want the ball? Where are you thinking you're going to put it against this defense, stuff like that. And it's good that we've had a lot of time in practice to be able to hash things out like that. So I'm pretty excited for what's going to happen.
And he made a good point, because that's the thing. The way I'm looking at it is, and now don't shoot the messenger. I'm just talking. Sam Darnold is still a young quarterback. He's still developing as a quarterback in this league. They're trying to reteach him some things, and they're treating him like a rookie. What is a good thing for a young quarterback to have? Like Matt Rhule has said before, a big tight end that you know who you can count on, that you can throw it up to, that knows how to use his body and box out. We had somebody named Cam Newton here. They traded for a tight end that wasn't really productive in his old team, but he definitely was super athletic with good size, hands, and speed. And that was Greg Olsen. A lot of things changed when it came to receivers for Cam Newton, but that one constant that we could always count on, Mr. Reliable himself, was Greg Olsen. Now, I'm not saying Dan Arnold's going to be Greg Olsen, but you see how good it is to have a reliable tight end that's that size that can help your quarterback develop. So hopefully Dan Arnold will be that Greg Olsen to Sam Darnold's Cam Newton. I'm not saying they're going to be a legendary tight end quarterback duo like Cam and Greg Olsen were, but you see the blueprint of how effective it can be in helping a young quarterback develop. So I like what they're doing there. But this practice today, man, like I said, it was very interesting to see the length of it because it was so short, but that was because the length of the injury list and the people that were out of practice. We'll see tomorrow how many people bounce back because some people had personal days, some people had vet days, some people were hurt. We'll see how things progress as we get ready to travel to Indianapolis because I think there's one more practice before we hit the road and start traveling and get ready for those joint practices when it's really going to start to get real. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. You guys make sure you watch the rest of the videos in this playlist of my training camp recaps and catch up on my injury video about the linebacker position and my concerns there. I'll link those down in the description, of course. But without further ado, I'm Aaron Duncan signing off. I'll see you next time. Peace.